All right, let's get into our next discussion now. In a bid to redistribute the country's resources in a way that the poorest of the poor in Nigeria will benefit, President Muhammadu Buhari introduced the Social Investment Program.
Now, the objective was to ensure that the most vulnerable in our midst, no matter where they reside, begin to feel the impact of government. Now, to effectively implement the Social Investment Program, or SIP, the federal government spread it into different segments and stages. Now, there is the NPower scheme, where 500,000 graduates and 100,000 trainees will benefit. Then there is the conditional cash transfer, a novel idea of paying 5,000 naira stipend to the poorest in our midst to support their livelihood.
Now, there is also the school feeding program for primary school children that will be fed from foods locally sourced within the country. Now, these projects took off at different times and stages between 2015 and 2016. Now, 2 years down the line, we'll be reviewing the NPower scheme, its successes, and maybe the challenges. And some people will say the failures of it, but have a way. We'll have all the explanations on the show this morning.
Yes, indeed. And to do this review with us is no other than the Senior Special Assistant to President Buhari on Social Investment Programs, Barrister Ismail Ahmed. He's in the studio with us. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so the first question on the lips of many Nigerians is, look, how many people has this NPower really empowered so far?
Well, thank you very much. I think you mentioned it in the beginning that we've employed about 200,000 graduates so far. And,
fully employed?
Oh, well, yeah, gainfully employed. I would say that.
Okay.
Now, yeah, of course, there are a couple of few numbers because we have to go through several stages. You know, first of all, this is something that anyone who is a graduate, who is an unemployed graduate, within a certain age, you know, not more than 35 years of age, because it's supposed to be for a particular demography, could apply. You know, without knowing anybody, you could just directly apply through the portal that was supplied at that time. And once you apply, we have to go through several stages of physical verification to make sure that you reside where you say you reside, because it's about residence. And you have all the papers necessary that you claim to have, and that your name matches with the BVN number through NIBS. We go through all these verifications that we do. Once all these things are settled out, you know, we engage you, you know, we recruit you, and so that's been the case. So we've done the first batch, which is about 200,000 people. Okay. Right now we're in the process of doing the second batch of about 300,000 people this year. We've already done the application. I think about 2.5 million people applied for it. We're going through the other stages of verification, and we've done the tests already. Now we're going for the physical verification. And once all that is done, we'll set out the list and get the required number. So it has actually impacted the lives of a lot of people. I've gone around the country, I've spoken to a lot of people, and I know that as much as the government would want to do more at every given opportunity, that it wants to devolve more funds down, you know, down to the bottom of the society. I think the NPower, much more than anything else that has happened, or any government intervention that has been done before, has been able to reach people directly without consideration of any kind of political affiliation or coloration or access to who you know or what you know, how you can get it. I think it's absolutely transparent. It has been objective, and people have been able to be empowered by it.
Now, looking at from the perspective, the idea, the concept, and all of that is excellent, what one would say. But bringing it down to the practical, everyday execution of that program, a lot of people, even on the list of those who have been empowered, so to say, are people who are, some of them are employed somewhere already. So how is that verification done? Because it's originally meant, because we know people who are employed originally.
Who were shocked to find their names on the list of...
No, that's part of the verification is ongoing. Once we confirm that you have another job, then we take you off the program.
How are you able to confirm this? Because you mentioned physical verification.
Yes, so physical verification.
How do you do physical
verification are done at the local government level.
Okay.
You know, usually by our agency partners like National Orientation Agency. Because you know they're in every local government, so we use that. So we check your papers and stuff like that. Now, and part of what we would use the BVN to do through NIBS is to find out if you have a salary account. Once we can establish that you have a salary account, which means you already have a job somewhere else,
okay,
we take you off the program.
Now there was this issue of salaries.
If there's any report or if we get any petition or any kind of complaint that this that a certain applicant or a certain beneficiary has a job somewhere else, you know, then we take him off the job. And we've had good stories of people who, on their own, voluntarily, you know, told us that they have gotten new jobs and they have exited out of the Empower. Okay. Some things we encourage. Of course, you can never rule out, you know, bad eggs that would want to play double game. But once in a while, once we find that out, we take you off the program.
So, but have you found out along the process of carrying out this project or program?
Yes, there have been times that we found out that people have jobs, so we've taken them off the program.
So what happened to them?
What happened to them? How?
Whoever has been found out to sabotage or circumvent the system, what happens to them?
We take them off the job and then we report it to the necessary authorities.
Are they punished for it, or you just
go
and sin no more?
We do our job is to take you off the program and report it to the
that's what concerns you.
That's what concerns us. The rest is entirely up to the rest.
Okay, now there was the issue of non-payment of salaries for a while, and the issue of BVN and all of that was the reason why the salaries were delayed. What is the situation with that now?
Well, I think 95% of all these issues have been resolved, and we're currently working on the rest of the 5%. So we never delay payments of people unnecessarily, unless, like you said, there are issues with BVN and there are no corresponding names, and you know that those are issues that are absolutely beyond our control. So we've made it clear this time around that the names you applied with, whether you're a married woman, you've changed your name, and the names that you applied through your BVN must match. Okay. And there are two ways about it, because that was exactly the reason why, you know, there was so much delay in the first time, you know. So, but something that we've taken care of, and it's not going to repeat itself again.
All right, we do gather that the areas where these 200,000 people are employed or would be employed in the area of agriculture, health, and of course education. How has it been so far in terms of the impact it's had on, say, for example, agriculture?
Well, agriculture is extension workers. We've done an incredible job. I remember the senior special assistant to the president on job creation, who is our cluster head, Mr. Afolabi, who is our cluster head on Empower in particular. Has gone around, and I've joined him in a couple of few on-the-spot assessment that he has done, especially when he went to places like Kano or Jigawa, and I know how much lives the people who the beneficiaries who are engaged in the agriculture extension jobs have been able to have impacted in their lives. You know, it's incredible stories, but. Like I said, government never does a good job of telling its own story, so we would want to go out and find out what the challenges are and how to make them better. But I think the agriculture and the health extension workers have been simply incredible from the places that I have been to. Some places that I followed Mr. Afolabi and I have seen, and I think they have been incredible stories. Okay,
what role does state of origin play in this program, especially when we see an Abdullahi on the list in River State, we see an Adebayo in Sokoto State, or we see Chukwemeka in Borno State?
Yeah, well, I think the goal for us is
you know what, we'll allow you land on that response as soon as we come back from break. Stay with us. There's more on TVC Breakfast.
Right, if you're just joining us, you're watching TVC Breakfast, and we're looking at the successes and challenges, or maybe sometimes the failure. From what we hear from the people sometimes, they have different tales of Empower. Empower is a program or scheme by the federal government to employ and empower young people in Nigeria. And we have in the studio Barrister Ismail Ahmed. He's a senior special assistant to the president on social investment program. And we've been talking about this all the while. Now, Ismail, I was asking a question earlier on. I was asking what role state of origin plays in recruiting people for this program.
None. Please, none.
Okay.
It's a place of residence.
Are you saying that on the portal or the forms, whatever they have to fill, there's no place for
state of origin? Absolutely not. We just deal with place of residence.
Okay.
As long as you're Nigerian, we can certify that you're a Nigerian citizen, you're within the age bracket we're talking about, and you reside in a particular place where you say you reside. Because our goal is for you to function where you reside.
Where you reside.
Because what we pay you at the end of the month will not be enough for you to move to your state of origin to go and do it wherever you are. But where you reside is where we want your services to be given to us. So state of origin, as important as it is, because it just shows us that you're a Nigerian, you do have a state, you have where you come from, but we're more interested in where you live and where you can deliver the services that we want you to deliver.
So people who are raising eyebrows, because earlier on people raised eyebrows. Okay, why do we have an Adebayo in Benue State when it's not a Yoruba state? Why do we have a Chukwuemeka in Kano?
It's a politics of identity. It's a politics of identity
so
in Nigeria that we have to deal with. But I think Nigerians now have come to appreciate the fact that we're all Nigerians, and the most important thing is for us to deliver service wherever you are.
Okay. Well, whether we've come to appreciate that is another question entirely. Now, Empower got about 26 billion naira in 2016, 26 billion or thereabout. How have you been able to deploy these funds to actually deliver on what the promise of Empower is?
Well, it's basically recurrent. The money we get, we pay salaries for the wages that we pay the graduates that we've employed. Right now, we've also employed. We are in the process of recruiting about 20,000 what we call MBuild. MBuild is different from Empower. It's different. It's not a graduate program. It's for the non-graduates.
Okay.
It's supposed to be 100,000. We started with 20,000 because of budget constraints, of course. But yeah, whatever money we get through the Empower and through to the cluster heads of the Empower, we pay the salaries that of the people that we have already employed. And I think the issues of budget and funds is not news. That we've just been coming out of recession, so there are a couple of issues here and there. But I think the Empower program, and as a matter of fact, the social investment program, because a lot of people seem to think Empower is the only social investment program. No, Empower is just one
of the
out of 4 programs.
Yes.
And all the other rest are equally important. This one is Empower is for the graduate program and the 100,000 non-graduate, and we have the homegrown school feeding, like you mentioned, the conditional cash transfer, and the JIP loans, which I've had opportunity to sit down with the beneficiaries in Lagos Island here 2 days ago. It was a fantastic.
One of the problems that the average Nigerian graduate has been facing, or the general perception, is that they are mostly unemployable. So these graduates, do you provide any kind of additional skills, to them, so that going forward they're actually more useful to themselves? And of course,
that's exactly what is happening with the agriculture and the health extension workers that we pick. And and the 100,000 that we're going to take the non-graduates. So yeah, the additional skills that we engage them.
All right, there's so many things to talk about, but we have to end it here right now because a lot of people have been asking, after 2 years, then what? But we have to leave that here now. We've been talking with Barrister Ismail Ahmed. He's Senior Special Assistant to the President on the Social Investment Program. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Let's go on a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about the Lagos inland waterways, how to bring back the glory of the old times. Stay with us on the program.